one of these canyons. An incredible new canyon system has formed right there through solid rock. You can see the waterfall coming in to the canyon and the stream flowing through there. Again, solid rock was gouged out by catastrophic agents. If I had not known about Mount St. Helens and I'd ventured on this canyon, I might assume that that canyon was formed one sand grain at a time as it was eroded slowly by that stream. That's the way it might appear, but we have the documentation that this canyon was opened up rapidly and formed by catastrophic agents, not by slow and gradual agents over enormous periods of time. There were secondary steam explosions. The valley of the Toutle River, the North Fork of the Toutle River, was blocked by landslide material. For 2 years it laid blocked by about 3/8 of a cubic mile of landslide material. It was unblocked by a mud flow on March 19, 1982. A giant mud flow from a lake behind the lava dome in Mount St. Helens came down over this area. This mud flow gouged out the dam and breached the dam, and as a result, a whole new series of channels were cut, and the upper part of the drainage basin of the Toutle River was established into the Spirit Lake area. For 2 years, there was no outlet for Spirit Lake, and the whole upper drainage basin of the Toutle River was isolated from the Pacific Ocean. It was unblocked on March 19, 1982 by mud flow. This mud flow caused very severe damage. From the air you can see this, where this breach occurred. The mud came down through here, breached through that dam, and made a whole branching tree-like drainage pattern of incredible complexity. Now, I had thought that a branching tree-like pattern of drainages would be established by streams slowly eating their way headward up into the upland area. It didn't happen that way at all. It happened rapidly by this mud flow event. A whole series of canyons, 5 canyons, come together here. Some of those canyons over 100 feet deep. Incredible complexity of these canyons. Something amazing has happened here as we overlook this area.
Okay, and the video right here, he's showing pictures of it, and I mean, it looks just like the Grand Canyon. It's unbelievable. The strata layers, the whole deal. The strata formed by the settling volcanic debris, and then the water channel ripping through it, and then cutting basically a big wedge in the volcanic debris, and which has layers of strata.
As we look at these canyons, we see some amazing features. The north area is flat, then we have the canyon, the cup-shaped side canyons, the gully-headed side canyons. We have the profile of the breach. It didn't occur straight through. It has a kind of a snaky path. All of these things remind us of the Grand Canyon, ultimately. We're looking at a miniature Grand Canyon, 1/40th scale model of the real Grand Canyon. All of this was gouged out essentially in one day. The drainage lines were established by the mud flow on March 19th, 1982. Here's the right canyon in those earlier photographs, and you can see over 200 feet wide, over 100 feet high cliff here. We see the stream running down through it. It might appear that that stream eroded that canyon one sand grain at a time, but that's not the case. And you can see why this canyon is like that. Notice this enormous basin up above. As I was thinking about this, you know, my normal way of thinking is that canyons are caused by erosion from streams. As I was thinking about this, the canyon caused the stream, not the stream caused the canyon. Here we have this enormous drainage basin. It collects the water, and so that's why that stream is in there. It's trapped. It's a monument, a relic, a leftover feature which formed in the past, which now is not being formed, or not at the same way as it was in the past. Catastrophic geologic agents formed that very severe erosion. There's a man right there at the top of that cliff for scale, 140-foot tall cliff. Do you think that this stream flowing at that rate over thousands of years, perhaps tens of thousands of years, eroded that feature? It might appear that way, but we have the eyewitness reports and the photographic documentation that that's not the case. And it reminds us ultimately of the Grand Canyon. You know, but geologists have been mystified by the Grand Canyon. Most geologists who know about the geology of northern Arizona have junked the idea that the Colorado River cut the Grand Canyon. That's right. It may sound like heresy. The textbooks tell us that the Colorado River cut the Grand Canyon, but the geologists who really know about Grand Canyon area have, for a while now, pretty much given up on that explanation. What caused the Grand Canyon? This satellite photograph of Grand Canyon shows the uplifted plateau land in northern Arizona. And notice the Grand Canyon is positioned through this uplifted, upwarped plateau. The green area here on the north rim of Grand Canyon is a forest. It actually photographs red in the false color Landsat photograph. It's about 8,000 to 9,000 feet above sea level. And here we see the south rim of Grand Canyon. They're about 7,000 feet above sea level. And the Colorado River and the Grand Canyon positioned through that upwarped terrain. How is it that the canyon is positioned there? An incredible problem for the study of the drainage basin of the Colorado River.
So there you go. We have Grand Canyon strata layers, what looks to be like millions and millions of years of history, and sediments and silt and so forth, and erosion from a small river through a canyon, all forming in just a short amount of time. Okay, so this is, like I said, this is empirical, and the account of the sediments layers and so forth that were typically told by the experts is not empirical in any way. I mean, you just heard only 9 minutes. It goes on, and the details are just absolutely stunning. It's an utter shock that the scientific establishment would simply ignore this, and all they do with Steve Austin is just say, oh, he's got this little detail wrong on how he tried to date the canyon when he dated it to be really, really old, showing the dating techniques don't work right. Who cares? I just can't believe it. This shows how sad of a state the biases and so forth of our academics really is. I mean, you may want to believe what you've merely been told by your professors and the experts and what's on the Discovery Channel about the old Earth and the millions of years to form the Grand Canyon. That's fine, but you are simply, I can say with absolute certainty that you are following the non-empirical philosophy, and the empirical account is passing you by and you're ignoring it, and therefore contributing to non-scientific, harmful propaganda. So the point is, we could keep going with the young Earth evidence. It's absolutely staggering how much evidence there is. The best, still my favorite, is carbon-14. I've done whole shows on it, and all I get from, I never have gotten, and I've specifically asked people if to address the single issue. There's carbon-14 in coal, in rocks and so forth, all over the place. And if it's, and the theory is that the academic teams give us, I guess, I mean, it's kind of hard to find anything that they have to say about that, but they seem to say that, oh, it must be caused by uranium in the Earth, because that can theoretically create carbon-14 when uranium radiation mixes with carbon or hits carbon. So then my simple query was, okay, if that's true, then there should be a correlation to the rates and amounts, sorry, not to the rates, the amounts of carbon-14 found in the Earth compared to places where uranium is. So if there's a place where there's a lot more uranium, proportionately there should be a lot more carbon-14. If there's a place where there's a lot less carbon-14, there should be a lot less uranium. I mean, this is Science 101, or Science 99. This is the simplest experiment imaginable. The data is probably already out there. Somebody just has to, I tried to find it, and I didn't know exactly where to look and how to find, rates of uranium throughout the Earth, and I actually thought I was starting to look kind of suspicious when I was doing that on the internet, because of course Homeland Security loves to find people looking that stuff up on their computers. So, but anyways, that would be, if they could find a correlation between the two, the carbon-14 is not being a factor in young Earth theory would be massively increased, as it's the idea of carbon-14 being behind young Earth theory as evidence for young Earth theory would be incredibly weakened. So this would be a big test for the old Earth theorists, okay, to find these correlations between C14 and uranium. But from what I can tell, uranium is there's big deposits of it all over the place, and then there's trace amounts in the soil in rather widespread. But carbon-14 is rather continuous in copious amounts worldwide, does not have radical fluctuations and whatnot. If that's true, it's hard to find this info. I've really been digging for a lot of it. But if this, or at least for me, I'm not in a geology department or anything, but if this is true, then there's a complete asymmetry between C14 and uranium levels, and when you find carbon-14 just all over the place in rocks and so forth, sure does sound like, a young Earth scenario, But that's not the point of this show. To talk